Ida, who's even gonna watch this?
No one watches crystal balls anymore. It's all about streaming.
The Disney brand has been a term that's been floating around in these past few weeks, specifically with how it relates to the Owl House. On October 5th, the Owl House creator Dana Terrace took to Reddit to explain the reason why the Owl House was cut short. I will be reading through the entire post first and then referencing specific parts for the rest of this video, so if you want to skip me reading the entire thing, feel free to click at the following timestamp. But this is the post that Dana put out. I wasn't planning on making a post because it's too late for a normal Season 3 pickup, and the real reason we were let go is not as exciting as some of the wild theories I have seen. But there's a bit too much misinformation, so I hope I could clear stuff up. Also posting here instead of Twitter because this thread would be too long and too easy to take out of context. Why is Owl House ending so soon? Why was Season 3 cut? Was it the LGBT+ rep? While we have had issues airing in a few countries and are just straight up banned in a few more, I'm not gonna assume bad faith against the people I work with in LA. Was it COVID or budget related reasons? Every show had to tighten their belts. Budgets were constrained and episodes were cut across the board. But we took the biggest bullet, and I wasn't even given the option of a Season 4 when parks open again. They just wanted to be done with the Owl House, and this was the perfect chance to do that. Even getting the consolation Season 3 episodes was difficult apparently. Hard to say, I wasn't allowed to be part of any conversations until I was just told. Wasn't even allowed to present my case. Love the transparency and openness here. This is sarcasm. So it was the ratings. That argument doesn't hold up either. Our ratings were good for a channel show during the streaming wars, but they were also incomplete. This decision was made, to my knowledge, before Agony of a Witch premiered and well before we were on Disney+. Also, how are you gonna judge ratings when you don't rerun the show you're trying to measure? Get out of here, you silly billies! So what was it? At the end of the day, there are a few business people who oversee what fits into the Disney brand, and one day one of those guys decided the Owl House didn't fit that brand. The story is serialized, barely compared to an average anime. Our audience skews older, and that just didn't fit this one guy's tastes. That's it. Ain't that wild? Really grinds my guts, boils my brain, kicks my shins, all the things. It sucks, but it is what it is. In any case, there are still a lot of awesome The Owl House episodes left to come out, and all the support is seen and appreciated. Not only does it support the crew, but it encourages studios to take bigger risks on shows coming down the pipeline. And who knows, maybe there's a future for the Owl House world if Disney TV has different people in charge. For now, we have some exciting specials to go all out on. I'll be logging off Reddit now, so I won't be answering questions. Just wanted to drop this. Go watch Amphibia Season 3. Bye! Dana. Okay, so breaking this all down. The LGBTQ+ rep that everyone seemed to point to as the reason the show got cancelled wasn't it. While we've had issues airing in a few countries and are just straight up banned in a few more, I'm not gonna assume bad faith against the people I work with in LA. In an interview I did with Dana and Matt, Dana also said the following.
You just know that with a brand as widely known as Disney, seeing like a girl have a crush on another girl be completely normalized, no one really bats an eye on it. It just feels good. It just feels like, oh man, I wanted to see it normalized and just treated super chill. If there's any problems between the characters, it's over other story stuff, but never about that.
Now, the second point, COVID-19, did factor into the show getting cut. Every show had to tighten their belts, budgets were constrained, and episodes were cut across the board. Budget cuts were something that Amphibia creator Matt Brawley and Dana both discussed in the interview I did with them towards the end of March.
Brawley, I didn't tell you this, but I tried to license a song for the Season 2 finale.
Oh!
By an indie German band called The Monocular, so I'm going and like knowing how much yours costs, I was like, this is going to be like a fraction of what Lean On Me costs. It was. The number that we got back was like
Don't say the number.
less than half of yours. But they were just like, yeah, no. Oh. No more of that. No more. It's COVID times. No more of that. Everything's getting cut and all.
Yeah. I mean,
turning into a kerfuffle. So I don't get to do that. But
that's something we didn't talk about, Rebecca, but man, the belt tightening from the studio has been really intense. Like, I mean, with the parks being closed, with the parks being closed, like we were under so much pressure, like in that regard. Yeah.
As we're starting to board our finale for season 2, and we're getting episodes back from the first half, and we're dealing with color and retakes, and it's just like, oh God, now's the time where we need the money.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I have to shout out to my art director Ricky, our TDs, Pong and Bessie. Oh God, they just make the show so beautiful. And the rest of the team, of course, is just nailing it, killing it. But adding the restraints force on us from the squashed budget due to COVID has definitely been a pain in the ass to deal with in the giant vision of show running. It just messes everything.
When the parks closed because of the pandemic, this affected all areas of the Disney company. This includes Disney TV animation, and unfortunately, the Owl House took the fall. But we took the biggest bullet, and I wasn't given the option of a season 4 when parks open again. They just wanted to be done with the Owl House, and this was the perfect chance to do that. I've been seeing a lot of people asking me why the Owl House got canceled and its sister show Amphibia is unaffected beyond the previously mentioned budget cuts across the board. I think the biggest factor is that Amphibia was further ahead in production. Keep in mind that Amphibia's entire first season aired from June through July in 2019. The Owl House premiered in January of 2020, so Amphibia had about 7 months of production ahead of the Owl House. And I think those 7 months helped Amphibia avoid the chopping block. I also wouldn't be surprised if Amphibia's, while serialized, more episodic nature helped it as well. According to Dana, the decision to cut the show was also made before the Owl House reached its first season finale, Young Blood Old Souls. This decision was made, to my knowledge, before Agony of a Witch premiered and well before we were on Disney+. Keep in mind that in the US, where the Owl House was first made available on Disney+, wasn't available until the entire season had aired on cable, plus a month. So from January 2020 when the show first premiered to October 2020 when it was made available on Disney Plus in the US, the only ways you could watch the show officially was through cable, which is dying as many people are cutting the cord, or alternative options like Hulu Live TV, or purchasing episodes on iTunes. Basically, the show wasn't given the chance to test the waters on Disney Plus. With cable dying, streaming services like Disney Plus are the best indicator of viewership and support of shows. So as Dana said in her post, Disney, or at least the individual who made the decision, wanted to be done with the show, thus it never reached Disney Plus prior to the call being made. They just wanted to be done with the Owl House, and this was the perfect chance to do that. Even getting the Consolation Season 3 episodes was difficult apparently. Hard to say, I wasn't allowed to be part of any conversations until I was just told. Wasn't even allowed to present my case. Love the transparency and openness here. This is sarcasm. The fact that Dana also wasn't involved in any talks regarding the situation also shows that they really didn't want anything else to do with the Owl House, as talks could have potentially bought some time before a decision was made. But I also think that this is a complete slap in the face and lack of any respect for Dana to not even involve her in any talks. I can only hope that future execs and higher-ups treat their talent with more respect. Now, after Dana's post, I saw people talking about it and I believe misinterpreting parts of it. That part being the Disney brand. At the end of the day, there are a few business people who oversee what fits into the Disney brand, and one day one of those guys decided the Owl House didn't fit that brand. The story is serialized barely compared to an average anime, our audience skews older, and that just didn't fit this one guy's tastes. That's it. Ain't that wild? I think people didn't connect the latter sentences regarding serialized shows and older audiences after the Disney brand thing for being the reasons why the show got cut. So they assumed that the show got canceled because it was too dark for Disney, or they brought up the LGBTQ+ rep again, even though Dana said she had no knowledge of that being the reason. Because of this, I saw people saying things like, well, what about Gravity Falls? That got dark. Or Marcy got stabbed in Amphibia, so why did that show get a full 3rd season? In terms of Amphibia, I already went over that it was further ahead in production when COVID hit and budgets were cut. However, Amphibia wasn't free of adversity from Disney when it comes to the Marcy scene from True Colors. Matt was originally given the okay by Standards and Practice 7 months prior. Matt discussed this in an interview with Man of a Thousand Thoughts and also mentioned that Disney Channel's age demographic is trending younger.
The ultimate concern was our younger viewers, and leadership really felt that the scene might be too intense for specifically 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. And for context, it's important to know that Disney Channel as an entity has been trending quite young. So by that I mean the demographic of those watching the channel, it's been getting younger and younger over the years.
So Amphibia had its own struggles with Disney regarding darker content. Standards and Practice is something every show has to deal with. This particular case ended up being pretty well known though, since the note came 2 days before the set air date and was later leaked. Now, Gravity Falls also got dark at times. Creator Alex Hirsch has talked about his interactions with Standards and Practice before with some of the notes he would receive. Again, Standards and Practice is something every show has to deal with, although the amount of notes for each show can vary. Gravity Falls also had a bit of leeway since it was moved to Disney XD after originally premiering on Disney Channel. Disney XD has a slightly older demographic, so they could show some darker content. So the whole The Owl House getting cut because of the darker tone doesn't add up. But what this leads me to is demographics and serialized shows versus episodic shows and what the Disney brand is. I just mentioned that Gravity Falls was moved from Disney Channel to Disney XD, where it was watched by an older audience. And previously I showed the clip of Matt discussing how Disney Channel is trending younger. This is incredibly important because this is what Dana cited as one of the reasons why the show got cut short. The Owl House's audience being older than the target demographic for Disney Channel. For Disney Channel, the target demographic is 6 to 11 years old. In a recent panel done at Lightbox Expo with Emily Carson and Kitty Walsh, Disney TVA actually broke down each of their demographics for Disney Junior, Disney Channel, and Disney Plus.
Disney Channel is kid-forward episodic comedy. Like I mentioned, 9 to 11-year-old kids are the primary audience for our shows on channel. And episodic means that viewers should be able to jump in and engage at any point in your series. Disney Plus, on the other hand, is serialized, high-concept, co-viewing stories. Kids, parents, and adults without kids are the audience for these shows. Content has arcs that encourage repetitive engagement viewing and appointment viewing, which means if new episodes come out on Friday night, you're there every Friday night watching the episodes. And we're also not only limited to 11 minutes, we're able to expand our shows a little bit.
So Disney Channel is kid-forward episodic comedies, while Disney Plus is serialized high-concept co-viewing stories. Kids, parents, and adults without kids are the audience for these shows. Content has arcs that encourage repetitive engagement viewing and appointment viewing. So between these two options, which one sounds like it's better suited for the Owl House? Disney Plus, obviously. It checks off all the boxes for the things Disney Plus shows are looking for. However, at the time the Owl House was greenlit, Disney Plus wasn't a thing yet, meaning that the show was developed for Disney Channel. And since it was developed for Disney Channel, it was fighting the uphill battle of being a serialized show with an older audience on a channel aimed at younger viewers and episodic content. Episodic content specifically is better suited for cable. As was said in the clip, episodic means that viewers should be able to jump in and engage at any point in the series. When flipping through channels on cable, you can decide to watch an episode and not need a lot of context to what is happening. That's also why younger kids are the target demographic, because they'll see that an episode of a show they like is on and that they can just watch without having to worry about any ongoing plots. Or on the other and more unfortunate hand, a parent can just turn on the channel and sit their kid down in front of the TV. But episodic comedies on cable are geared for those kinds of engagements and are the focus going forward for Disney Channel. Compare that to The Owl House, specifically the first half of Season 2. The show is much more serialized and you'll need to keep up with the show to know what's going on. Say that you have cable and watched all of Season 1 and have watched up to Episode 3, Echoes of the Past of Season 2, but things got kinda busy for you and you fell behind. One day you're able to catch the newest episode of The Owl House on Saturday morning and it's Eclipse Lake. Can you imagine how confused you would be if the last episode you watched was Echoes of the Past? Alright, who the hell is this punk-ass emo kid? Wait, is this the Golden Guard? Why does he have a cardinal? Wait, why are we seeing Bellis's face? Pink? Wait, why do they palisman when they get palisman? Ida, when did you get a new outfit? And also, what the hell is harpy mode? Wait, girlfriend, what? Mouse, Philip. So yeah, you get the idea. A show like The Owl House or any serialized show is better suited towards streaming services. That's because the show is intended to be watched in order. And when you go to a streaming service and go to a show's homepage, all of the episodes are in order for you to watch or catch up on. But the show was never even given the chance to show how it performed on Disney Plus before the decision was made to cut it, which is such a shame because it's what Disney Plus is looking for. It also does well on there. It's been on the trending queue several times, it's always at the top of Disney Channel favorites, and for the Halloween season, it's been featured in the Halloween queue, which honestly makes it sting that much more knowing that the show does well on the service. But looking back, I really feel like Dana and the crew ended up getting the short end of the stick, with timing not working out for them. The show was greenlit for Disney Channel with Disney Plus on the horizon, with the latter being much better suited for the show's success, but then had to fight the battle of not being an episodic comedy on a cable channel. It premiered in January 2020, months before the COVID pandemic hit. The Disney parks took a big hit financially, and then that trickled down to their other departments. And then once that reached Disney TVA, the decision was made to cut The Owl House, which didn't fit the Disney brand, for more episodic comedies geared at a younger audience. It's kinda odd, cause on one hand, The Owl House came at a time where Steven Universe was ending with Steven Universe Future, and people were looking for their next show to hop onto. The timing with COVID around the corner meant that people were chilling at home with nothing to do and started watching. Come summer and the airing of Enchanting Gromfright, you had so many people jumping on to watch. But on the other hand, the timing with COVID meant that budget cuts loomed, and the weird position shows are in today, with being on cable in a streaming world, meant that it got undeservingly cut short. Obviously, I would want to see Dana's intended vision for the show. In her post, she even mentioned a fourth season when the parks opened up again as a potential option, but that was never presented to her. But at the same time, the timing and circumstances regarding The Owl House and its release and airing, I think a lot more people got into the show than if it had released at another time. And maybe because of all the viewers and all the interest and support now, there might be additional content in the future if the demand is there. After a recent Save the Owl House trend, Dana said the following: "We've already started production for our Season 3 specials, but trends like Save the Owl House do not go unnoticed. I don't know what the future of the Owl House is right now. We have ideas, but we can't do much if no one at the studio is interested. So thank you for your kindness and support. But for now, I'm looking forward to some much needed rest and time with new projects. And even though it wasn't what we planned, that's life, that's entertainment. You learn to problem solve, and we have some exciting stuff headed your way." Dana and the crew definitely deserve some much needed rest after working on The Owl House. Making an animated show is hard. Making an animated show during a pandemic is even harder. Making an animated show during a pandemic that got undeservingly cut short is even harder than that. Plus, Dana and the rest of the crew will be moving on to new projects, and I can't wait to see what those are and support them in the future. So it will probably be a while if we get any additional The Owl House content. But at the very least, we'll get closure with the Season 3 specials, and we were able to watch an incredible show. And hey, if the demand and interest is there, who knows what the future holds for The Owl House. At the moment, it seems to be a not right now, but that doesn't mean not ever.